Hi, Fabio. How are you doing?
I'm good. How's things, Jeremy? How are we?
Good, good. As far as going into this fight with Carlos Molina, um, do you consider him a big step up in competition? And are you comparing your performance to all the other performances that he's had in the past as well?
I think it's quite obvious. It's quite clear that there's a big step. For me, especially. In if you want to list in experience, in age, and gap, then yeah, there's a big distance between us, and this is that kind of first marking point for that for me to kind of tick off a big name in my own right. And in terms of looking towards other people and how they've done it, not so much because I'm not really interested in other people's performances against him. I'm interested in my own. So as long as I perform well on the night and do what I'm happy with, or put on a performance that I and me and my team can look back on proudly, then I'm fine with it.
He's made some comments that were critical of your boxing skill, commenting on flaws in your movement. Do you think that's something that he honestly believes, or is he trying to delude himself into a possible chance against you?
I think it's a bit of both. I think he probably does feel from his boxing experience, from him being around the block quite a while, that maybe there are some flaws there. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not the finished article. I'm not perfect. I do have the tendency to get some things wrong sometimes. So, but that's the point in building and learning fights. So if he thinks he can exploit those things, then all credit to him. But he's going to learn on the night. It's a very different to watch me from maybe YouTube, wherever he's watching me, and then when you're in there with me on the night.
Final question for me. I know that you haven't been past 6 rounds before. Are there specific things that you're anticipating learning from this fight, or things that you have in mind that you're trying to polish up or learn from in this fight?
In particular, no, it's difficult to kind of pin down one particular thing or a set of things I want to learn from a fight, because I don't know what Eric Molina is going to turn up, and I'm not 100% sure what type of game he's going to bring. But I'm prepared for all eventualities, and I'm hoping it's going to be a good test. And like you said in the beginning, like you pointed out, that I've only gone 6 rounds. I would like to get a bit further, tick off a few more rounds, not only for the spectators, but for myself as well, just to tick those few extra boxes, get that kind of done and dusted out of the way as early as possible in my career. So probably if there's one thing I'm hoping for, maybe it's just some good, decent rounds.
Sounds good, Fabio. Thank you very much and best of luck.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. If you go to Ames from Boxing News TV next, please.
Ames here from Boxing News TV. How you doing, Fabio? You good?
Yeah, same. How's things, bro? You all good?
Yeah, not too bad at all. You got Total War on that laptop ready, yeah?
Yeah, actually have.
Gonna kill the time with that. Fabio, so I want to know, like, whilst you're getting your experience in the game, and you want to make it to the top of the sport, who do you think will be there with you at the top, like coming up if you get there? Who do you think will be contesting for those top levels at the sport with you?
I think the most obvious names at the moment are probably, if you want to move in that kind of contention, it's me, it's Daniel Dubois, even though obviously he's coming off a loss. But I think once he bounces back and moves back through, Nathan Gorman, the same. He's in a similar rebuilding process, but again, he's probably the name up there. It'll probably be in around us three that will be circling each other for a bit of time over some titles and stuff. I know obviously Gorman and Dubois have had their fight, but there's potential they could do it again at a later date and stuff. So I think probably if you was to pick the top three, it'd be out of us.
Did I read correctly that you've got Ricky Hatton in your corner for this fight? Is that right?
Yeah, we've added in Rick just into the corner as a second, just for guidance and experience and help. Really, like, I've got a pretty good relationship with Ricky. I've known him for a while when I spent a bit of time in Gorman's camp when he was part of that Hatton stable. So yeah, we've brought him in, but purely just for a seconds and some eyes and some knowledge. And like I say, it's a step up in fight, it's a step up in class. So if there's any little helps and pointers he can give, it'd be great to have his advice there.
And look, Eric's kind of long in the game. Boxing's a young man's sport. With some of the comments he's made about this fight, do you think you could potentially, if you beat him, retire Eric?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. He's not got. He even said to me himself that this is his kind of last stance, his last ditch, and that was his warning though. Is that, like, look, I'm putting my kind of back against the wall here. I'm going all out for it. I'm getting all the way in. that was his kind of message to me, that this is do or die for me. So I think that kind of makes him quite dangerous at the same time.
And just your thoughts on another fight. We talked about some of the fighters that'll be there with you if you get to the top of the sport. How about sparring Johnny Fisher? What was that experience like?
Yeah, fantastic. Johnny's a great guy. Really good. Someone I've spent quite recently a lot of time around. We've done a lot of rounds together. We've sparred a lot. We was in together for the Joyce camp as well. So just as of late, we've just been around each other a lot. And just every time I step in the ring with him, I'm more and more impressed with him. So he makes me feel old, because I felt like I was always the kind of young guy coming through, and now he's that kind of next one doing it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm on the other side of the fence a bit now. So it's funny, but he's a great guy, and he's got a lot of potential in the division. And
finally, like you've scoped out a couple of places to eat after the fight. Five Guys being the most notorious one. How about here in Gibraltar? Have you scoped out anywhere after the fight?
Nah, not yet. I'm gonna save that one for when we get there tomorrow and see what I can find. See what I have a look. Hopefully they got like a delivery or Uber Eats or something over there. Because if not, we're stuck to boat food.
All the best for the weekend. Thank you.
Cheers, Ames, brother.
No worries.
Thanks, Ames. Go to Jonathan next, please.
Hey Fabio, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. How's things, mate? You all right?
Yep, good, thanks. How much footage have you actually watched of Eric? Do you go back to the days when he fought Wilder and Joshua?
I'll be honest, myself personally, I've not really watched too much. It's not really something I delve into too much. In terms of watching footage and stuff, I leave that more so to my team. I leave that for my coach and stuff to look at, and for him to advise me on this. Don't get me wrong, I've watched little bits and bobs, but not too much in depth.
What do you expect? What do you think he's got left at this stage of his career?
I guess that's what we'll find out on Saturday night, really. That's the question. In terms of what he's got left in the tank. He's in social media and stuff. He's bigging himself up. He's still saying I think he's kind of self-proclaimed the king of comebacks or something like that. He gives himself that title. So we'll see what he's got left, and I'm looking to find out, really.
Is it true you actually spoke to each other before, on messages or something?
Yeah, we've had a few DMs back and forth. And to be honest, between it, they've been relatively cordial, like nothing too aggressive. Like, don't get me wrong, we're fighters at the end of the day, and we both want to win. But I've always believed in kind of the noble art of boxing and a respectful sport, and we can still fight and shake hands at the end of the day and be cool before and after, as long as there's no real bad blood.
Hi, Fabio. Hi, mate.
Hey,
With most people think of Molina, or a lot of people over here think of Molina and think of his fight with Joshua back in 2016. What were you actually doing when that fight was going on in 2016, both in your life, and do you remember the fight?
2016.
Could you imagine? So it's December 2016. So it's before you had a pro fight. And where were you actually in your life? And do you remember watching that fight?
2016. I don't remember watching it, but I was probably like maybe a fight or two into my white collar boxing. That would have been about the maximum. I'd probably have only would have been boxing maybe about 6 months to a year at that point. Maybe I had one or two white collar fights by then, but yeah, now that you've put it in that weird perspective for me, it's funny to look at it like that. I never actually took the time to look at it like that.
Because it wasn't something, because obviously someone who's that early into their career looks at these things, and that's obviously the, for many people, that's the aim. I want to be there, I want to be doing that. And well, you're with one of them anyway. So, but you didn't think of it in that sort of long term then? I mean, there's a white collar fight. You didn't think one day I could be up there on the big screen?
Back in 2016, when I was looking at it, not so much, no. Like I've said in interviews earlier and stuff, that my interest and my love for the sport has grown as I've grown into it. And I would say it's obviously absolute peak. So I'm all the way in with it. But in the earlier stages, it wasn't so like that. It's something I grew into and just kind of fell more and more in love with as I was more involved in the sport.
So what were you doing for work then?
At that time, I was working in an office as a recruitment consultant, which is like a sales job. So I was on the phones and stuff.
Excellent. Take care, Fabio. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. If you go to Joe Lee from SecondsOut.
Hi, Fabio. How are you, mate? I'm
good, Joe. How's things, mate? You all right?
Good, yeah, all good, thank you. So I know you mentioned a moment ago how you, compared to other boxers, see the sport from a different perspective. Would you see yourself staying in the sport after you retire, maybe as a manager or a coach?
as a manager, potentially, probably not a coach.
I was thinking manager, yeah.
I was thinking more. I would, if I was to see myself in any role like that, it would be more managerial than coach and hands-on. I don't know. I take a coaching role very seriously, and I don't know how. I know how seriously I take the sport and how good I am at developing myself. I don't know how good I would be. I don't know if that immediately translates in being good into developing other fighters, and that's not something I'd be 100% confident in. Maybe, but at the moment, if you was to give me a one or the other right now, it'd be more managerial than coaching.
And how have you been in contact with Ricky Hatton before? I know you mentioned that he's going to be in your corner. How did that sort of come about?
Well, I spent about a month up in Manchester, staying at one of the houses he owns, which is near the gym, with a bunch of his fighters, a bunch of his lads and stuff. Brad Ray, one of the boys who fought last week. And that was how me and kind of Rick's relationship developed from there. And don't get me wrong, we're not the best of pals. We don't speak every day and whatever, but we have a bit of a relationship. So him being here and just convening with his son on the show and stuff as well, and I just called upon him for a bit of experience, and he was more than happy to help because he's a good guy like that.
Best of luck, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you, man.
Okay, go to Brett Lex, please.
Hi, Fabio. Brett Redmond here from Bad Intentions Boxing. How
Hey,
you keeping?
I'm good. How's things going? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you very much, buddy. You referenced just a minute ago, the type of experience that somebody like Eric Molina's got. Do you feel like this is a fight for you, as in that Eric Molina is going to be the gatekeeper and this is going to push you on to bigger and better things after this?
Yeah, I think most definitely. I think that's relatively clear to see because he's well known. He's been around the block a long time. He's been in some big fights himself. He's been on some big stages. So I think it more so depends on the fashion and that I get him out of there. And just the performance as a whole of how well I do for then how well it announces me kind of into that kind of them new conversations.
Do you think there's an element of there could potentially be an overemphasis on how you dispatch of Eric Molina potentially? Yeah.
There's a lot of pointers because people will really read into it of so and so did this to him or so and so did that to him. So they come. I had that a lot with my previous fight of Richard Larty versus me versus him, and the comparisons that were coming between me and Daniel, and he got him out over me, Daniel, and Gorman. In fact, all three of us had fought him. So those comparisons are obvious, and they will come. I don't really read into him too much. Like I said previously, as long as I'm happy with the performance and me and my team are happy with the performance, then we're good to go.
And as you just mentioned a minute ago, there's that transitional success going on, I think, in terms of actually that there's a lot of the younger breeds of heavyweights coming through, with the majority of these guys now that are pushing on in their early 30s. You potentially at 26 are younger than some of these other guys. Is there that element that we're going to start seeing that within the next sort of 12 to 18 months of guys like yourself really pushing on top bills of these shows?
Yeah, I think so. Especially in the heavyweight scene, don't get me wrong, right at the moment, it's jam-packed. It's filled to the rafters with a lot of good people as well. But a lot of them are getting to the back ends of their careers. They're at the latter stages. They're finishing up. They're having their last kind of 2 or 3, 4 maybe big fights, and then they're out. And that leaves a lot of space in the gap in the middle for the likes of me and Nathan and Daniel and some other names that you might throw in the mix. So I just need to be prepared for that eventuality when that void does appear, and that I've built myself right, I've had the right fights, I've learned and whatever else, so I'm ready for that gap when it comes.
Fabio, thanks very much for your time and good luck for Saturday.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Fabio, mate. We're going to bring in Campbell Hatton next. So anyone with a question for Campbell, if you just pop your camera on and raise the hand emoji. Mike Hall from ITV, I think we've got you in here already, Mike. So if you want to get your camera set up and ready to go, you've got permission to record from our end.
Thank you. I'm good to go.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Campbell to join us now, mate. We'll go straight